Hi, Sarah, and welcome to Q&A. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you doing?
Very good, very good. I'm super excited to have you on here. I'm excited for you to be able to explain to everybody what Unison does, because I am quite excited and impressed because it's so in line with what Northern Touch Music Festival does. It's a perfect match. So I'm just going to get you to maybe break down quickly what Unison kind of offers in a nutshell, and we can go from there.
Yeah, sweet. So yeah, I'm super excited to be on board with this as well. So Unison is an assistance program. It's a registered charity in Canada that serves the music industry. So artists and music industry professionals, whatever role you play in music, you qualify for Unison. So basically we offer two main services, and those services are our financial relief services. So if you're ever in a hardship or a crisis and it's preventing you from working, such as COVID-19, then you could apply for financial help. And basically that's just to you work with the allocations director very discreetly, and it's just to help you get you back on your feet and pay your rent, get groceries on your table, make sure you have a roof over your head, and direct you towards the government assistance that's being provided right now as well.
That's huge. That's huge because, Northern Touch has been trying to do our part, but of course we're not a funding body, so we can only really help direct people to where to go. And this sounds like you guys are kind of handling. I went to the website, and you have a special section. It's the COVID-19 resource list, and it's got so many resources for artists to tap into to help them with funding. I mean, you even have the Canadian CERB or CURB. You got the CBC fund in there as well. There's a whole big list, which is amazing. I also noticed you guys mention mental health and insurance, and I'm wondering if maybe you can kind of touch on that.
Yeah, so our other main program is our counseling and health solutions. And basically we work with a company in Canada called Morneau Chappelle, and they're Unison's counseling partner, providers. And so when people get on the phone on the Unison line that's provided on our website, the hotline, you get connected to a counselor immediately through Morneau Chappelle. And
that's awesome.
Set up a case file for you and decide whether or not it's an emergency or not. And then you literally get help and seek counseling within a couple weeks at most.
That's awesome. The fact that they can get connected right away too, because, as we know, these situations can be very stressful, especially now in this whole new world we're in. And sometimes people are in the moment and just need to know someone's there. And so that's super important. And that can be huge for somebody. That's amazing you guys do that.
Yeah, and if like I said, if you are in a crisis, you'll get help immediately, of course. And
that's so good that there's somebody out there like Unison doing that.
Yeah. So we're great because we're the only organization in Canada that provides these services to the music community, and the government kind of sees it as a niche still. So we don't get funding from the government, but we get all of our funding through donations and fundraising events. So that's how we do our financial and counseling assistance programs.
That's awesome that you do that, because I know coming from a festival, when you're trying to get funding from, say, the governmental bodies too, it's sometimes limiting, but you still want to do what you want to do regardless of that. And so it's great that you guys have figured out how to do that with the donations and things. Speaking of which, this video, we air our episodes right now on Facebook. And one thing I had noticed is I'm able to enable a charity option for this episode, and Unison is in their list. So those who are watching right now, you're going to be able to see within the post a charity option. So if you're someone who is maybe not financially struggling right now per se, and you fall in love with what Unison's doing because it's so amazing, there's that option to just donate whatever you can, because obviously everything helps. And like Sarah's been saying, it's all for music artists. It's all going to support them. So there's an option there for anybody watching.
Yeah, that's perfect. And we also have a donation link where if you go through Spotify, I believe it's unisonfund.ca /donate/Spotify. And Spotify will actually match your donation dollar for dollar.
Oh, wow.
Till I think $10 million USD. So Yeah, so it's
Wow.
a huge opportunity to, if you are able to, support Unison in that way. But there's so many ways to donate, and of course we appreciate it all. So
So I want to touch on the Spotify in a bit when we get Shah, our show's partner, on. Because I know he knows that as well. So, but before that, I kind of want to just touch on a couple of maybe some tips or things you can give for when an artist is applying. Like, what are some things maybe they need to have ready? What are maybe things that artists have done that doesn't really help, that they can maybe do something different to kind of help the process and help them help Unison in
Right.
working together.
Right, and yeah, the more accurate your application is, the quicker it'll be easier for review from our allocations director, because it is just a small team working with a large volume of applicants. But when you're applying, you just reach out to assistance@unisonfund.ca, which is our allocations email. First, you have to register on the Unison website at first, and that's just so we have your information in our database. But once you reach out to assistance, you get provided an application. And the application is very straightforward. You just have to provide like some personal information, like your address, your mailing address, and your email and phone number. And then what you'll have to provide is like a tax document and like your work history. Like, so basically just what your history is in the music industry, how you what contributions you've made to the culture, essentially, and then just provide some sort of backup to your expenses, essentially. So it's like super simple, super confidential, and the application doesn't take very long. Because I've been able to actually help with the allocations director during this time, just because we are such a small team. And I've seen what the application is, and it's very straightforward and very simple. So
it sounds pretty standard for, you got to do your due diligence on people, because there's always going to be potentially people out there to take advantage, and you guys are just making sure that you're getting the help to those who are actually deserving of it and need it, right? So makes sense. Yeah, it doesn't seem anything out of the ordinary for other funding, but it actually seems almost more simpler too, which is again important, because like even with the counseling we're talking about, sometimes people need help right away, and it looks like Unison has really got it figured out, which is really exciting.
We're trying to do it like quickly, obviously thoroughly, but quickly. And the main thing is that people are generally very honest, because we're all in this together and we all need a little bit of help. And the Unison funding, the COVID-19 financial relief, is very understanding of the circumstances, and that not everyone has access to their computers, and there's always a way to get the help. It's just putting in the work to do so.
Right. And that makes sense why you have a phone number too, outside of that. So we'll post that on screen as well, just in case someone's maybe watching from a location where they have, and then maybe when they come home they don't, or whatever the situation may be. But I like that, because it's really opening the doors for people in not just internet, right? So they can call a number.
Yeah. And we don't necessarily like do the application over the phone, but like there's always a way, right?
And you'll be able to talk them through and help them with any concern they may have. And again, that's so important when someone can just call and get a human on the other line, and have a real conversation. That's so huge.
Yeah, it's definitely really important. And that's why I know like counseling works, right? Because you just need that human connection where you can kind of get a new perspective and kind of reset your brain if you're having a hard time. So yeah, it's Unison really is great. It really does act as the safety net in the Canadian music industry. Currently we're growing very fast, and I'm sure we'll be opening up our services even broader as we grow. So
I
Yeah.
hope so, and again, if we can even just like again have like the donations open, things like that. I really do hope that with the Spotify too, matching dollar for dollar.
Yeah.
I don't think it's hard to convince us Canadians how important this is, and I'm sure we're going to be able to help at least direct more supporters your way to keep this going. Because I'd like to see Unison keep going. Like I said, I've been looking at your guys' websites back since like April 11th, when I first was told about this by Shah. And it's impressive and it's great, and it's nice because you're not overcomplicating things. You are being real about it. You're keeping things simple. It's mental health, it's insurance, it's funding, it's all the core things that artists run into that really causes potential stress or anything like that. And then the fact that you guys have stepped up even further with the COVID-19 pandemic to further do things, and you said with a small staff, I'm sure you guys are just working like crazy trying to keep up, and that just shows where you guys' heart is and where Unison's heart is, and it's really exciting. So that's why I'm super happy to have you on here.
Yeah, and it's amazing how the community has been uplifting the organization this entire time, like with the donations and with the awareness. Like the amount of awareness Unison's been getting during this time is just absolutely insane, right? So it's great that the word is being spread and people know that the help is there, because that relieves so much anxiety on its own, right? Like just knowing that there is something for you to fall on if you do stumble. So it's really
exactly, and we all stumble, and again, a big thing that's been, which I'm happy has been happening in the world more so, is the awareness of mental health being destigmatized, if I said that word right, but like basically the encouraging of people to talk. Be open, don't bury, don't hide it, because it only builds and builds and can get worse. And I really like where the world is coming to this maturity and realization that there's no need to hide anymore, and Unison is definitely providing, like you said, you can phone call, you can talk to somebody right away, someone who's going to listen, who's going to have some advice, or just support in general, and yeah, that can mean so much. As we all know, we all have our moments. And sometimes all it takes, sometimes even just someone smiling and being there, and whether it's in person or over the phone, it's something as opposed to feeling alone, right?
Feeling alone, yeah, because that's the biggest thing I think is feeling alone, and not having the support system there to help you. And it is hard in today's world, even though the stigma is breaking down, it's still hard to find the professional help in a timely manner, and like with the and cost effective as well. So that the Unison counseling is totally free, and it's again confidential, so you don't have to worry about paying any fees or dues or anything like that.
And that's huge, because as we all know, the traditional therapeutic routes, like you were saying, it can be delayed, but also can be expensive.
Yeah,
and a lot of people can't afford those fees and things. So it's really great that you guys are opening that door. So what I want to bring on here is I'm going to bring on our partner of the show, Shah, who any viewers who have seen any of our past episodes have gotten to meet him. He's had some direct experience with Unison. I'd like him to share that with you.
Awesome.
So we're going to bring him on in.
So Sarah, what's going on? How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing the best I can during these crazy times. So how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Super busy time for Unison. You guys handing out money to artists who are suffering?
Yeah, it's a super busy time. We have never seen such a volume of applicants come through before, obviously, and we were kind of there ready before the government was. And I'm not trying to brag or anything.
No, but
it's all
brag away.
No, that's true. I can say from experience that's true, because what happened was, as soon as you could see the music industry starting to crumble once South by announced that it was a wrap. But even after that, there was still, like, for example, with South by, Austin came together and they were still going to do an Austin Music Week. But then that week of South by, so I guess March 16th, 17th, then everything really, like, it was dominoes. And then it was organizations like Unison, Music Cares and states that came through, Patreon that immediately came through, and it's like, well, you know, if you're struggling or if you anticipate you're about to struggle, here's something that you can do. So yeah, so it was well before the government. I think the government started coming through like this month, right? And then you guys were there last month, and then it really, like for me, you know, I try to be positive, but the reality was, especially this year, like revenue was all going to be, or largely going to be, touring. And when that's just not an option, and that's what you've been building up towards, like, oh, now what? So then to have options like Unison to at least cover your rent, cover your mortgage, to eat, it was like at least there's something to do. At least there's someone that I can hit up in hopes of doing something. So it really made a big difference. And yeah, you guys were there before both governments. And then, you know, it was also like the process was also, if I remember correctly, it was like legit enough that it didn't feel like someone can just come in here, like with the, I don't know if you guys have been following like the US SBA, the small business loan money, right? Mm-hmm. You just have corporations coming in here and swooping it all up. But then with Unison's process, it was like legit enough that, okay, you're going to need to be a Canadian independent artist or a Canadian artist who's been hit because of this. But it wasn't so taxing and so overwhelming that it's like impossible or not worth the time to do. You know
right.
I mean?
Yeah, definitely. And we kind of touched on that earlier too, like just how straightforward the application is. And I'm really glad you had a good experience with that, because I mean, this is exactly what people need to see, right? That the help is there for them. And the great part is that many people, everyone in our community is deserving of help, right? And and the people who, especially since Unison is a small organization, our awareness is really throughout the music community, and we're supported by the music community. So we haven't gotten many like randoms yet.
Good.
But we of course are getting some, but that's, and you know, we wish we could help everybody, right?
Sure, right. But every community needs to help their own, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of help for people who are actually been hit by the infection, you know? So to have support for the artist community, for the music community, I mean, like, because outside of people whose health has been affected, then like people who depend on gatherings of people for a living, like, you know, we're sort of next in line. We've been devastated.
To speak on how, you know, we wish we can help everybody, that's just another reason why we need people who aren't struggling to hopefully want to donate, so that Unison can extend its reach even further and keep going with this. And to touch on that, she had mentioned earlier a Spotify partnership. Now, Shah, I know you've discovered this yourself as well, so maybe you can kind of explain what happened with you and Spotify.
Yeah, so I saw that Spotify, like at the beginning, like I mentioned, I was just seeing, all right, well, what do we do now? So one thing, I connected with Northern Touch and we started doing all of this. But then when I saw what Unison was doing, I looked a bit deeper, and then I saw the support that Unison was getting, which was dope. And then Unison, beyond just breaking off the $1,000, Unison has been great. I know that, so Unison has been in touch with like Liz, who's like my booking agent. And not only have you guys offered, like, I think you guys have just repeatedly said, like, hey, is there anything that you're doing that I can post that Unison can share? Mm-hmm. So like going above and beyond just $1,000. And then we saw that separate from Spotify matching the whatever donations that are received by Unison. So whoever's watching out there who wants to donate, just know that it'll be doubled. But beyond that, what Spotify's done for us, for artists, is they now, when you go to my profile page, we can select charities to which we encourage our listeners to donate to, or we can say, you know, we put up our Cash App or Venmo and say, you know, give me money. So I actually put Unison up there right now.
Oh, awesome.
So if you go to my Spotify, you'll see that Unison is the page where you can donate to. So that's sort of something I wanted to do to show what you guys are doing. You know what I mean? Hopefully it leads to big money coming in. But more than anything, it was like the gesture to show my, not even just appreciation, but also like, hey, here's an organization that's doing something to help artists. Whereas, there's a lot of talk out there, but here's an organization that's small and Canadian and still taking action to the point that I've already felt it. So that's one thing that I think Hugh was alluding to. So right now in the TV film industry, at least in the States, there is definitely this feeling of like, all right, as soon as this is over, there's going to be a flood of dough and opportunity into anyone who's got a good idea. But in the music industry, it doesn't feel that way. It doesn't feel like, all right, like while there's nothing going on in real time, everything's building up and there's going to be this wave of good. That's not the reality. So to have Unison offer to even just, hey, is there anything I can post of you guys? It's like there's those opportunities feel like few and far between right now. So it's just, you guys are doing a great job. And everyone listening out there who's been hit should get in touch with you guys. And if you qualify, then, there's someone here to support.
Yeah. And like you said earlier, Shah, sometimes it's as simple as just money for like the rent or mortgage or groceries. Like we're talking, like some people right now, as we all know, are in situations where it's like they just need to meet their basics, their essentials. I'm so happy to have both of yous on right now because we're just trying to spread that word. We're trying to let artists know, look, Unison is like probably one of the most human-esque funding I've ever seen. In the way that they are being real about it, their heart's there. Sarah is here. Like, it's just really, really great to see because it feels so much more welcoming than a lot of other funding application processes from other companies and things like that. You guys just seem so down to earth, and you mean it when you say you want to achieve something, and you're willing to go the extra mile, like Shah was saying. So hats off to Unison, and hopefully those watching, check out the website. For those who need assistance, please check out the website. You will be so impressed. They do so many different things to help. If you're someone who's fortunate enough that you're not struggling right now and you want to help Unison and artists, please click that donation. Like I said, this video through Facebook is going to have the donation option. Shah's Spotify has it. If you're an artist who is doing okay in these times and you're on Spotify, please check that option out as well. We need to keep Unison going. We need to keep them funded because real life example is Shah, who has benefited from Unison. He's spoken on how the process was great and how it helped him. So this isn't talk. This is walk. This is happening. This is real. And let's just keep these great initiatives going to help us Canadian artists. And so I want to thank you, first of all, Sarah, for coming on. It's amazing that Unison is willing to do these things because I know you guys are a small team and you're getting overloaded right now, and yet you still found time to tune in with us, and we greatly appreciate that. Shah, thank you for coming on as well and providing your actual experience with it too.
I was just gonna say, and it's so cool to see things like this because Shah, like you're sharing your story really, really helps Unison garner this awareness. And if for anyone who's watching, if you have also received assistance, it's totally up to you, obviously. But if you do feel like sharing your story, it really does help move along our mandate and our movement to spreading that awareness, and so people know it is okay to reach out, and it's totally okay, and it's not too hard on you.
Yeah, for sure. And like Q said, this is like an unusual time. So maybe Q, one thing we can do in addition to, like using this episode to bring light to what Unison is doing is with Canada Touch. So Sarah, that's a series of live performances for artists like me who had their South by Southwest taken away and have had other major opportunities taken away. It's a platform that Northern Touch is leading to sort of give them a virtual platform. Maybe what we can do is offer Unison, like artists that Unison is supporting or something like that. Maybe there's some way to connect and share that work and share that platform as well, to further expand the notoriety and like the awareness of Unison and give more artists a look. So we can discuss that after, but just
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'd be so open to talk about that. Absolutely. It's a great idea.
Yeah, it's an amazing idea. We can bounce around so many ideas to developing like a partnership and developing like a more awareness on both ends, right? So that, yeah, let's talk about that.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Well, thanks again for both of you for tuning in. I am so excited to get this out there because I know so many artists need this help right now. So big shout out to Unison for really stepping up in a real way and helping us Canadian artists get through this pandemic. Thank you again, both of you guys, and I hope you have a good rest of your day, and I look forward to talking further.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank
Peace.
you.